The Authors Forum exists to inspire success.
Welcome to the Authors Forum. I'm your host, Dr. Veronica Esagui, chiropractic physician in West Linn, Oregon, and the author of the Scoliosis Self-Help Resource Book and Veronica's Diaries, The Journey of Innocence, Braving a New World, and Awakening the Woman Within. My guest today is Laurence Overmire, who as an actor has appeared on stage, film and television, most notably on Broadway in Amadeus, as well as the network soap operas All My Children and Loving. As a poet, he burst onto the scene with weekly segments as poet in residence on the Jeff Faria Show. Laurence Overmire is now best known as an advocate for peace, justice, human and animal rights, and the environment. Laurence, welcome to the Authors Forum.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Well, tell me a little bit about your most recent book, The One Idea That Saves the World, A Call to Conscience and a Call to Action.
Well, the reason I wrote this book, I've been very concerned about all the hate and the division that we're seeing in our country and the world today. So we're divided by politics, by religion, by ethnicity, by culture. So this book asks the question, is there one idea that can bring us all together despite our differences to do what is necessary and right to save ourselves and the planet? And I think there is one idea, and that's what this book is all about. And to set it up, I thought I would read chapter 1, if that's okay with you, to kind of set
wonderful.
The whole thing off. And I started this book with a poem. After all, I'm a poet, and
Yes.
I thought it was appropriate here. Title of this poem is The House is on Fire. The people in the house are sleeping and in great danger. 7 of their neighbors will come along, each with an opportunity to save them. Person number 1 does not see the fire. Consumed in his own thoughts, he passes by in ignorant oblivion. Person number 2 sees the fire, but not wanting to get involved, walks on by. Person number 3 sees the fire, but shocked and terrified, is left immobilized in a state of panic. Person number 4 sees the fire and immediately takes action, first phoning the fire department, then knocking on the door to wake up the inhabitants. Person number 5 sees the fire and, daring what no one else would, enters the house to try to save the inhabitants. Person number 6 sees the fire, surveys the scene, and discovers an opportunity to promote his own interests and make a buck. He's the one handing out his business cards to sell his stuff. Person number 7 set the fire and lurks unnoticed, watching the destruction, not caring really about anything at all. The house is Mother Earth. Which person are you? So this poem encapsulates the central overriding issue of our time. Our world is on fire and on the verge of collapse. What are each of us willing to do about it? How do we galvanize one another to do what is necessary and right? And the house is our house. The people trapped inside are our children and our grandchildren and all our descendants in times to come. They have no power to avert the disaster that awaits them. By the time they are born, it will be too late. Only we can save them.
So true. I'm almost without words. I'm just listening to you.
No,
okay, it's just
okay, I'm glad it was effective.
Okay, very effective. This is going to sound like a silly question after what you just said, but what are some of the issues you think you should be concerned about?
Yeah, well, there's a whole lot of issues, as we all know. Anybody who's paying attention recognizes the spiritual, political, emotional, just the total upheaval of our world right now. And but the biggest probably most serious issue is climate change. And then, of course, all of the related issues to the destruction of our planet, which would include the poisoning of our air, our soil, our water, the destruction of forests, the extinction of species. By the way, did you know that Sir Martin Rees, England's astronomer royal, says that the odds are no better than 50-50 that our civilization will survive to the year 2100. And National Geographic reports that only 10% of all large fish, including tuna, halibut, swordfish, and flounder, are left in the sea. And the World Wildlife Fund laments that there are only 3,200 tigers remaining in the wilds of Asia, compared to 100,000 just 100 years ago. So when 97% of climate scientists agree that global warming is real and largely caused by human activity, shouldn't we all be paying serious attention and doing everything we can to ameliorate the situation? I mean, isn't that just common sense? Every single day, according to the UN Environment Program, 150 to 200 species of life go extinct. This is nearly 1,000 times greater than the natural rate of extinction. Like the dinosaurs before us, humankind may well go extinct. But unlike the dinosaurs, incredibly, we will have brought about our own demise. I mean, imagine all the noblest advances of human civilization and culture throughout history gone forever. All that knowledge, science, music, art, and literature gone. All those generations that came before us. What would they think of us now? Our mothers and our fathers who did their part to make this world a better place for our sakes, bit by bit, century upon century. For what? It is up to us now. We are the last generation that has a real opportunity to save the world. The one idea can save us, and it may be the only thing that can.
So what is the one idea? What is the one idea?
It's a very, very old idea, and it's so simple. It's an idea that is common to all the major religions, and it's acknowledged by atheists and agnostics as well. Because within this idea, you can find the moral center of the universe, the ethical guideline for living, whether you believe in a God or not. You might say it's the place where science and religion intersect and truly find compatibility. And moreover, I would submit to you that living this idea, making it a part of our everyday consciousness, is the fundamental shift that we as a species must make. Without it, there can be no real change. Without it, ultimately, we will destroy all that is best about ourselves and our beautiful planet. So what is it? What's the one idea that saves the world? Here it is. We are one. That's it. That's the one idea. It's an idea that we've heard over and over and over again by artists, poets, musicians, scientists, philosophers, and every great spiritual teacher. But no matter how many times we've heard it before, we refuse to really grasp what it means and what it requires of all of us. Am I making myself clear?
No, you're making it very clear. In my mind's eye, I'm thinking, shouldn't this book, the one idea that saves the world, be introduced in schools?
Yes.
So that the children can start learning about what the one idea is, because, I mean, they are the result of their parents, correct?
Yeah.
So shouldn't this be part of our education worldwide?
Yes, I think the one idea needs to be a part of our whole culture. As I said, it needs to be a shift in consciousness. So I think on all levels of our society, we need to talk about this oneness. But what does this oneness really mean, and what does it require of all of us? We must understand, first of all, that everything is connected. We are all part of a whole. There is unity in all things, and all of our actions have effects. everything ripples throughout the entire universe. So most of the effects are unseen by you or me, yet they ripple throughout the entire universe. I mean, think about that. And part of the problem we face today is that we tend to believe in the illusion instead of the truth. The illusion is that everything we see is separate, but the truth is that it is all an interconnected part of a whole. So yes, we do need to get this idea out there, and it should be part of every business, every institution. It should be part of our churches. It should be part of our government and our schools, the oneness of everything. And if we can get to this universal kind of consciousness, we're going to save the world. I mean, that's really what it boils down to.
Well, you just keep on talking and writing. That's the only way that, you know, and what is the golden rule, part of the one idea?
Yeah, well, absolutely.
Is it?
Yeah, love and compassion and the golden rule are all inherent in the one idea. I mean, the golden rule has been expressed in various ways in all of the major religions. Since we are all connected in the whole, to love another is to love yourself. Likewise, to hurt another is to hurt yourself. Yep. So our personal well-being is connected to the well-being of others. If I want to heal myself, I need to be part of an effort that heals you as well. This is what Martin Luther King called the interrelated structure of reality. And love is really important too, because love is active, not passive. It is our love for one another, for Mother Earth, for our fellow creatures, that compels us to act on their behalf. And love is protective. A mother doesn't stand idly by when she senses her child is in danger. She springs to the defense, ready to protect the child's life with her own. And each of us must do no less. Each of us must come to the defense and take necessary action for the good of all. Doing nothing as our house burns to the ground just isn't acceptable.
Yeah, you have to be united, basically become a team.
Absolutely. It's really about cooperation, all of us coming together, despite our differences, despite our religious differences, our political differences. We need to come together now. The fate of human civilization is at stake here.
So what do you think is preventing us from doing the right thing?
Well, in the book I take a look at a lot of the dark forces that are leading us on this path of self-destruction. And in many cases, these forces are institutional. Our governments, our media, our churches, our corporate structures. In all of these cases, we find greed, selfishness, and ignorance at the root of the dysfunction. In fact, the corporate value system, which puts profits over people and the planet, is not sustainable. It is corrupt, it is immoral, and it must change. We, the people, must get involved. We must be the change. When the people lead, the leaders will follow. And each of us has a role to play in all of these institutions. So each of us must become aware of the extent to which we personally are contributing to the collective illness of the planet. Then we must take steps to rectify, to heal and balance our own relationship to the universe of which we are a part.
Exactly. What about our values as a society? Do you think our values need to change somehow?
Yeah, I think we need to make three fundamental changes to our value system. Number one, we must value one another and planet Earth over the accumulation of money, material goods, and power. And this will require that we make our decisions based on the wisdom of long-term considerations for the greater good, rather than short-term financial gain for the few. And number two, we need to value truth. We must demand honesty and integrity from our leaders, our media, our businesses, and our corporate institutions, and hold them accountable when they fail, and that's really important. And number three, we must value generosity. We must rise above our arrogance and our selfish egos to become truly caring people who gladly give of themselves to help others. And that's something each of us has a lot of work to
do. Yes, and that's why I truly believe starting is when you are young and keep it going that way, because humanity just its history keeps repeating itself.
Right, and it really is a lot about parenting and our schools in those early education years that we really talk about the one idea, the interconnectedness of life, of all life on the planet. And we talk about the need for cooperation. So much of our culture is about the opposite. It's about competition and conquest and destruction and knocking the other guy down. And we're at a point now in human evolution where we need to go the opposite direction. We need to go to love. We need to go to compassion. We need to go to kindness, to forgiveness, all those virtues that we really haven't been paying much attention to, and they really need our attention now.
They should be our priority. You talk about earth consciousness in your book. What is earth consciousness?
Yeah, earth consciousness is so important, and what we do to the environment, we do to ourselves. That's the one idea. So earth consciousness is about having an awareness at all times of how our personal and communal actions, thoughts, and feelings affect the earth itself and all life upon it. We must have respect and teach respect for Mother Earth and all living things. And this is partly what we're talking about in the schools. This is big. And a lot of schools are doing this, but it needs to happen more. We need to teach respect for Mother Earth and all life upon it. But in terms of earth consciousness, it's something that we all need to develop on a daily basis. It should become a habitual.
So teachers should have this book.
I would love for teachers to have this book.
Teachers should have the book.
This book.
Yes, exactly. So they can pass the.
Now it is kind of an adult book, and the issues, a lot of the issues it talks about are adult issues. I certainly think 17, 18-year-olds, people in college, young people, I would really urge them to read this book and to understand, because it's their future we're talking about. I mean, all of us here today are going to be affected by these issues of climate change.
We are already. We are already.
It's happening. We saw Hurricane Sandy, for example. This is going to happen more and more and more. We're going to go deeper and deeper into the climate crisis, and we've got to take action. We've got to do it immediately. There's no time to waste.
Yeah. How does earth consciousness work on a day-to-day basis on a personal level?
Yeah, well, in the book, I have a fictional character I call Earth Conscious Frank. And I take the reader through his day and to illustrate how Earth consciousness works. So as soon as Frank gets up in the morning, the first thing he does is to thank God or his lucky stars or whatever his personal spirituality is, but he's grateful for the chance, the opportunity for another day of life on this miracle earth. And that's the first thing. Be grateful, be positive before you start your day. Taking a shower, he uses just a little bit of shampoo, enough to wash his hair, and he uses only enough water to get the job done, but he doesn't spend an hour in the shower. So he's all the time he's conscious of what he's using and what he's wasting. And then same idea, he uses just a little bit of toothpaste. Now the two big things that we can do personally are our transportation and our dietary choices, because those are two huge impacts on the environment. So in terms of transportation, Frank has a fuel-efficient car. So he wishes he had a hybrid, which would be a little better. Even better yet, he wishes he could ride his bicycle or walk to work, but it's not a good idea for him right now because it's just not practical. And that's an issue a lot of us face. I mean, all of us who are driving cars are contributing to the carbon dioxide, and the fossil fuel burning. And so we got to do what we can, and hopefully we're advocating for progress. We're advocating for more public transportation. We're advocating for more fuel-efficient vehicles, for solar power, solar energy, wind energy. So these are all things that are going to help down the line. But at the present time, we're kind of trapped in a world that doesn't work. So we have to make all these choices. Another big choice we can make is the diet that we choose, because the consumption and production of meat actually causes more greenhouse gases than all the transportation systems combined. So the less we all can eat meat, the better it is for the environment, the less of a carbon footprint we will have. And for example, there's a program called Meatless Mondays, where it's encouraging people to, at least on Monday, one day a week, stop eating meat, try something else, and experiment, enjoy it, enjoy a meal that's mostly vegetables and plants. I mean, I've been making progress on my diet for a long time, and I'm trying new things all the time, and I'm really enjoying the ride, experiencing new foods, new tastes. And so this is a big thing we can do, is to cut down on our meat consumption. But that's the whole idea of earth consciousness. All of our decisions as we go about our day include, how does this affect the earth? How does it affect the environment? How is it affecting future generations? So we're making choices constantly. And the more we do it, the more habitual it becomes. And the other thing that I've learned is all of these choices are great for me. They're not sacrifices. Every choice is a positive.
It's your choice.
Yeah, it's a positive choice.
Positive
it's not
choice,
a negative.
yeah.
I'm not giving anything up, because the things that I'm changing, I'm just changing my habits, basically. And I'm really enjoying it. So that's what I'm encouraging people to do through Earth Conscious Frank.
So your book, the subtitle of the book is a call to conscience and a call to action. And you even talk about it becoming a movement. Can you describe that?
Yeah, well, America in times past has risen to some very serious challenges. Think of the mobilization of the entire country to gear up for World War II, or the effort to put a man on the moon. Well, we need a similar national initiative led by the U.S. government, the business sector, scientists, religious leaders, corporate institutions, to make Earth consciousness part of our everyday reality. And once the public is properly informed and galvanized, then we can really amass the forces necessary to really take on these issues and make progress.
And on chapter 6 in your book, is called The Real Heroes. What is a hero to, and who are they?
Well, the real heroes, if we go back to my poem, they're the fours and the fives, the people who take action. And in my book, the real heroes are the people who do their part every day to make this world a better place. And it can be little things, or it can be big things, but they're always putting out positive energy. They're trying to help everyone. This is the one idea. We're putting out all this positive energy in little ways every day. What you're doing right now, you're promoting authors and ideas and books, and these are all related to the one idea too. It's about moving forward as humanity, and it's about coming together, about learning and growing and making this world the best place it can be. And all the people that are doing that are the real heroes. The number fives are the really, truly magnificent heroes who risk their lives. People like Martin Luther King, who, he gave his life for something huge. And those are the number fives who risk their lives. And there are a lot of people who, like firefighters, policemen, these people are on the line every day risking their lives for us all. And I can also mention the people in the military who, as they've given of themselves to help others, to help our whole country. So we all ought to be very grateful for that.
When did all of this come into your heart and into your hands to write this book? When did it start happening?
Yeah, well, it's been a lifelong process. And the actual book itself, I was having a conversation probably about 6 years ago with a friend of mine in a coffee shop. And we talked about how the world was on fire, but there were very few people who were aware, or even fewer were doing anything about it. And that idea stuck in my head, and so I kept thinking, there might be a book here, and what do I have to say about it? And then all these issues came together, and I started thinking about all of these things. And I wanted to put them all together into one book and kind of give you the big picture. So I think the reader will experience what the big picture is. And if we can all be cognizant of that, we need to find our place in the big picture, and what can each of us do to affect it? How can we affect it in a positive way?
Where can our viewers find your book?
Well, actually, we have a website. It's called theoneideathatsavetheworld.com. So you can find the book there, and you can also join what we call the Bucket Brigade, which is bringing fours and fives together to get some ideas about what are we doing in the world to make this a better place. And the other place you can get it is direct from the publisher, Indelible Mark Publishing, which is at imarkbooks.com. That's imarkbooks.com.
Great. Do you belong to any writing group or writing group associations? How do you feel about these types of groups?
I belong to, you can help me with this,
NWPA.
NWPA.
Yeah, I've seen you there.
Yeah, and it's a group of publishers and authors who get together and all kinds of topics. There's speakers every session that we have. So it's a way to network and to work together to get ideas. And this is really what the One Idea is.
One Idea is about.
It's about everybody coming together and sharing your gifts in a positive way with others. We're all working together to make this world a better place. And of course, the big idea that I'm talking about, climate change, is the one we all got to get on board with and work toward. But this is one thing I'm doing, this book, and putting it out there and trying to get people to talk about it. But it's wonderful when writers come together, when publishers come together, and all the people that are working in the industry. And that's what this group is about, and it's been a wonderful thing for me.
Okay, and I have a question maybe, well, where were you born?
I was born in,
I don't know much about you.
I was born in Rochester, New York, and I lived there for about 3 years.
Yeah.
And then my family moved to Xenia, Ohio, and we were there for a few years, and then we moved up to near Detroit, and then down to Cleveland. Wow. So I've been over a lot of places.
And when did you discover you were a poet? I mean, when was you, was that your first writing, was a poem?
Yeah, actually, the first poem I wrote was in 10th grade.
10th grade.
And my teacher gave me a C on it. Now, I was a straight A student, so for me that was like a slap in the face, and it really hurt. And it was a case where the teacher should have known better, because he gave us the assignment was just experiment with whatever you want to write. Just go ahead and write whatever you want. So I chose a poem because I'd never written one. and so I was very discouraged, and it was years before I recovered from that. But I was inherently a poet. I didn't know it at the time. Yeah. But it really started to come out when I was in grad school. And then for me it became kind of a diary process where I would translate my experiences in life into poetry. And so that's a lot of how that happened.
There is a poem out of this whole book. I love your poems, but there's one that's, I don't know, it touches me. And I was going to read it, but I think you will read it a lot better than I will, because I do have an accent.
I don't know about that.
And this poem, it kind of tells me a lot about to be aware. And tell me what you think when you wrote that poem, what it meant to you.
Let me just read it.
Yeah, because I'm throwing it to you as a surprise.
The poem is called If. If, when you look into your child's eyes, you do not see the future, then you have not understood the meaning of your place in the universe.
And that is that is the book.
Yeah, for me,
I love that.
Children are very precious to me. I do a lot of teaching in the schools, and I just think that if all of us gave children the love that they deserve from a very early age, gave them healthy, compassionate love and support and nurturing, our whole world would change. And so that's really a poem from my heart to the children.
Yeah, I could feel your heart there, and thank you. Now I can say thank you. It was a pleasure having you here.
Thank you very much.
Authors Forum, and until the next Authors Forum, have a most inspiring week. Awesome. I mean, I could have kept you here all day long talking. I mean, we'll just keep right on.